In 2014, an unknown Chinese startup called OnePlus entered the smartphone market with a flagship killer of a smartphone called the OnePlus One. It was a relatively inexpensive smartphone that offered high-end specs comparable to those of the best-selling devices available. A little over a year later, OnePlus released its second handset, the OnePlus Two. So, is the OnePlus 2 worthy of its 2016 flagship killer title, as it was labeled by the folks at OnePlus? How's it going, everybody? This is Matt D, and this is a video comparison of the OnePlus 2 versus the OnePlus One. Despite some similarities on the surface, these are two very different smartphones created by Chinese smartphone manufacturer OnePlus. In April of 2014, OnePlus unveiled its first smartphone, the One. This thin phablet of a smartphone sports a 5.5-inch LCD screen at a resolution of 1080p. Above that panel, the phone features a 5-megapixel front-facing camera ideal for shooting selfies and video chats. Below the screen, the phone has a set of capacitive keys for navigating through the One software, which can be swapped for on-screen keys. On the rear of the device, you'll find a 13-megapixel sensor by Sony, capable of shooting video in up to 4K resolution. On the inside, the One is powered by a Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 SoC, clocked at 2.5 GHz, coupled with an Adreno 330 GPU. The device is powered by a 3100 mAh battery. The OnePlus One supports the usual forms of connectivity that have become standard on today's smartphones, while the phone offers support for just a handful of LTE bands. One important note in this comparison is the One's built-in support for near-field communication, something that its successor lacks, which is odd for a high-end smartphone in 2015. Moving on with this comparison, the OnePlus 2 has a similar 5.5-inch 1080p screen as well as a 13-megapixel rear camera and a 5-megapixel front-facing camera. On the inside, OnePlus's second flagship handset is powered by Qualcomm's controversial Snapdragon 810 SoC, accompanied by an Adreno 430 GPU. Looking at the phone's connectivity options, the OnePlus 2 supports a wider range of LTE bands for both North America and Europe, but again, there's no NFC here. Although both phones include non-removable batteries, both devices offer swappable backplates. The OnePlus One comes with a removable back shell that can be swapped for one that resembles bamboo, if you manage to get your hands on one. Although I like the idea of being able to replace the sandstone shell for another one, removing this rear shell is not an easy task, at all. The past few times I've decided to swap between the OEM sandstone cover and the bamboo cover, I was always concerned about the possibility of damaging the phone. Removing the rear shell requires prying the back off with a pair of headphones and a case opening tool. Changing out the backplates on OnePlus's second handset is by far a much easier process. The default sandstone backplate and all the accessory backplates each have a notch carved out at the bottom, making the process of switching backplates quick and easy. Kudos to the OnePlus team for making this much-needed change. When the OnePlus One was launched in April of 2014, the phone was shipped with a special version of Cyanogen's custom Android-based operating system called Cyanogen 11S. The most recent version of Cyanogen software is Cyanogen OS 12. While the general layout is similar to that of stock Android, the app drawer is different in the sense that Cyanogen includes a vertically scrolling app drawer that is alphabetized. In addition to that, customization is one of Cyanogen's key selling points. Cyanogen offers a diverse selection of full themes. The Cyanogen Themes Showcase allows the user to choose from a wide variety of theme packs that allow the user to customize the look of his or her device. While some themes are free and others are paid, each theme gives you the opportunity to change your phone's icons, toggle switches, wallpapers, boot animations, sound packs, and numerous other aspects of this custom OS. The OnePlus One also allows the user to switch between software keys and predefined hardware keys built into the phone. Cyanogen also includes a set of on-screen gestures that provides a unique way of interacting with your device. First, the phone offers both a double tap to wake and a double tap to sleep gesture. In addition to that, you can activate the phone's flashlight by drawing a V on the screen while the phone is asleep. On top of that, you can launch the Cyanogen camera app by drawing an O on the screen. Cyanogen supports on-screen gestures for music playback as well. Looking at Oxygen OS, OnePlus's own Android skin, Oxygen OS emulates the appearance of stock Android but adds some additional features to the software experience. Unlike the app drawer on the One, the OnePlus 2's app drawer scrolls horizontally while the apps are organized into multiple panels. Next, let's look at the navigation buttons on the newer phone. While both phones allow you to toggle between hardware buttons and on-screen buttons, the OnePlus 2 has configurable hardware buttons. For example, if you're accustomed to the stock Android button layout like me, you can set up the phone to where the back button flanks the home button on the left, while the recent app key sits to the right of the home button. Or if you're coming from a Samsung device, you can put those two buttons in the opposite positions. In Oxygen OS, the user has the option to rearrange the various quick toggles in the notification panel. Shortly before Google unveiled Android 6.0 Marshmallow, OnePlus incorporated Android's new app permissions feature into Oxygen OS. If you've seen my video on Oxygen OS, you'll know that this new feature allows you to determine what apps can and cannot access information stored on your OnePlus 2. For example, you can prevent an app from accessing your contacts, location, your calendar, or the phone's camera, among other things. Earlier in the video, I talked about how OnePlus chose not to include NFC in its second flagship device. When it comes to how useful near-field communication is, most Android users fall into one of two camps. Heavy users who use NFC regularly for mobile payments and automation, versus those who hardly use the technology at all. I fall into the latter one of those two groups, but I still find it odd that OnePlus chose not to add NFC technology into the 2, especially after Google has announced the rollout of Android Pay. However, I have to wonder how successful Android Pay will be, since there are already several mobile payment services available to the consumer. However, aside from broader LTE support, the OnePlus 2 does have one major advantage over its predecessor in terms of cellular connectivity. The OnePlus 2 is a dual SIM phone, making it an ideal choice for those who travel internationally or those who have one personal line and one work line, but don't want to have to carry around two devices. Unlike OnePlus's latest product offering, the OnePlus X, you can't use one of the phone's SIM slots for microSD expansion. But honestly, I'm happy with 64 GB of storage available on each of the two phones I'm comparing here. In terms of camera hardware, both of the phones sport 13-megapixel rear shooters. Also, both phones feature 5-megapixel front-facing cameras. The rear cameras on both phones also include dual LED flashes helpful for low-light shooting. One advantage in camera hardware that the 2 has over its predecessor is laser autofocus, helping to find the ideal focus point when taking a still picture. The biggest difference between these two cameras lies in the camera software on each phone. The Cyanogen camera software built into the OnePlus One comes with a long list of shooting modes that allow you to customize the look of your still photos. The Cyanogen camera software on the older phone comes with the usual smartphone camera features like panorama and slow motion, while you can also modify the aspect ratio of your shots. While the OnePlus 2's Oxygen OS software offers many of the same features, the on-screen UI is very different. On the surface, it almost looks as if someone took the default Google Camera app and added some of the visual aesthetics of Apple's iOS camera app. To be honest, neither app is really intuitive, and with the Cyanogen software, you really have to spend some time going through a nearly endless list of settings and filters just to fully master the camera software. Overall, both of these devices present a lot of value for the money. Both of these devices are targeted at the Android enthusiast. These phones offer two different visions of Android that offer lots of ways for the user to personalize his or her device. If you want high-end specs but want to save a few extra bucks, or if you're a fan of Cyanogen software, go with the OnePlus One. Also, if you regularly make use of NFC, OnePlus's original Flagship Killer would better suit your needs. On the other hand, if you're looking for the latest and greatest in Android hardware, or if you're in the market for a dual SIM phone but don't need NFC, the OnePlus 2 may be the phone for you. The OnePlus One is available at oneplus.net for the price of $299 US. The OnePlus 2 is available via invite only at the price of $389 US for the 64GB model that comes with 4GB of RAM. Anyway, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up down below and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.